Oh, hey, what's up, tubers? Hey man, can we talk about these Firefly guitars for a minute? Now, I've been on a journey with the Firefly FFTL Relic guitar for a while now. Now, those of you who are familiar with the channel have seen a litany of videos documenting my journey with this guitars. The good, the bad, and, well, the ugly. But I wanted to have a conversation about Firefly guitars for a minute, because I don't know if my experience is normative. Now, I bought the Firefly FFTL guitar because I wanted to compare it to a Squier Classic Vibe. Not to put the Squier Classic Vibe down or to put the Firefly down, but I was just curious. Is it possible in today's guitar market to buy a sub $200 guitar and end up with good bones? Something that you can upgrade, something that you can mod, knowing that if it's a $200 guitar, you might have to put new pickups in it or make some preferred modifications. So I'd like to just mention, I'd like to offer what I see as the cons of this guitar, the neutral elements of this particular guitar, and then the pros of this guitar. There are some pros, okay? So hang on as I work my way through these. I made myself some notes. I don't think I'm going to follow them, but I am going to try to be as brief as possible. There were, in my layman's terms, structural issues with this particular guitar. Now again, guys, look, I'm not saying all Firefly guitars are this one, or like this one, or have the same issues as this one has. Oh, by the way, make no noise here about my West Creek Racer. That's another video in the making. So for me, there were some structural things about the guitar that I didn't really appreciate. Okay, so I had to fill and re-drill several holes on this guitar. The bridge plate, a couple of the neck screws were stripping. Don't even get me started looking under the hood of the tuners. That carnage is its own video altogether. So I don't know if is it normal that when you get a Firefly guitar that you've got strip screws on a good number of screws? Is it normative that the neck pocket has a big router gouge in it? I don't know. I'd love to know. I really would like to know. You know what? Let me go to my notes just to stay on topic and on point here, because I'll just ramble on as an old man would do. So I talked about the fact that I filled and re-drilled some screw holes. I sanded all the debris from the screw holes. It was pretty messy. All of this is documented in the links below. I did find some high frets. Again, I had to file those, crown those, polish those. And look, sub 200 guitar, I get it. I didn't expect that this would be a $1,200 guitar. I expected good bones. Okay, so these are serious, legitimate questions. I'm not picking a fight with Firefly or any of you, for sure. Is it normative that you're going to have strip screws? Is it normative that your neck pocket is going to be jacked up? Is it normative that the screws thread through the body before hitting the guitar neck? I don't think that's preferable. So I bore those holes out myself. I bought drill bits. Can you believe it? Yes, I did. First time, by the way, doing much of this. And so filing the nut, look, sub $200 guitar, you're going to have to file the nut down, I'm sure. The control plate, I took the control plate off, and the holes where the pot stems come up were just jagged, man. I mean, they were like razor blades. I didn't cut my delicate fingers, but you certainly could. So I got some files out, and I took care of that quick, fast, in a hurry. So those are the only real structural kind of what I'm calling structural repairs. And again, I'm not trying to make it bigger things than they were. I'm just saying I had strip screws. I had weird neck pocket deal. I did want to thread the screws. Filing the nut, filing a couple high frets, sub 200 guitar, that's all within range. Is this normal? Is this your experience with Firefly guitars? Look, man, you're just going to have strip screws. You're going to have to deal with some stuff. I don't know. I would love to know. I told my wife today, I said, baby, you know, most people when they buy a guitar, if they buy it and they like it, and it plays all right, good enough for them to sit around the house or whatever, yeah, man, go for it, you know. But most people probably don't take their guitars apart. I've had this guitar in pieces over 15 times, like parts of it all over my shop, which is also my study, which is also where I study and where I work from when my grandson's not living with us for the summer, which is why sometimes in my videos I'm in an undisclosed location, our bedroom. Okay, so those are just structural. So I'm just curious, are those structural things, as I'm calling them, typical for Firefly? FFTL Telecaster models, okay? Please, when you comment, keep it focused to that lane of guitars. I know it may be more narrow lane, but it really doesn't matter if the LPs are great or, you know, whatever. Or other models of Tellies, you know, the Johns or whatever out there, John 5s. It's this, a traditional Telly with traditional appointments outside of the heel carve out, which I do enjoy, by the way. Most of this issues with this guitar was caused by the Relic, okay? So again, some of you have said, man, why are you buying a Relic guitar? You know, you trying to look like you had it for your... No, I'm not trying to do any of that. All I wanted was good bones in a traditional body in a solid color. I had like 8 guitars that I was looking at. I showed them all to my wife. She liked this one, so I went with it. So because of the way that Firefly chose to relic this guitar, there were sandblasting material in the tuners. You could turn the tuners and hear the grindage. Under the control plate, on the pots, on the wafer, all the electronic, under the bridge plate, under the pickup, the pick guard, the pickups were nearly covered in this sandblasting material. And so my electronics were just shot. What I wanted to do was get this guitar compared to the Squier Classic Vibe stock. Well, unfortunately, I can't do that because I have, with the exception of the capacitor, because, well, Amazon and shipping delays, I've swapped out everything on this guitar. Everything except for the capacitor is new parts. Now, Guitars Garden did me a solid. I made them videos and I said, man, look, I've got sandblast material in my tuners. I made put all these videos together for them and sent them out, and they gave me a $50 refund, and so I was all in for $137. So why not? Let's spend $90, replace everything else, and see what happens. And that's kind of where we are right now. So I've replaced all the electronics with the exception of the capacitor. The Musicali tuners, I got the locking Musicali tuners. Again, all this is meant to be budget items, okay? So I know that there are better tuners, okay? I certainly know that. The Musicali tuners are really good. I like them. They've worked well in this guitar so far. And I got the vintage looking ones. What I did find out though is when I went to swap out the tuners, and this is like a cautionary tale for those of you who are upgrading tuners, check the ferrule size of your headstock. I didn't do that, and so I bought these Musicali vintage locking tuners are 8.5 mil ferrules. And this guitar is 10 point something mil ferrules. But here's the thing, man. I took those ferrules out and they were plastic. They weren't even chrome. They weren't any kind of metal. They were straight up plastic with some kind of chrome looking paint job, which didn't match the Relic, which is a sidebar not worth having. So also on the workbench over there, along with the capacitor and some guitar wire, because some of the wire I had to use in the meantime, thank you Amazon, was subpar from my point of view. So I have some chrome, I think they're Musicali or Do Pro, I'm not sure, chrome ferrules on my desk over there. Because I know that this is dumb, but me knowing these are plastic affects me. It doesn't affect the guitar. It doesn't affect the aesthetics. It doesn't affect the tuning as far as I can tell, or the tone as far as I can tell. But knowing those are plastic is killing me. So getting those out and putting chrome in, and there you go. So again, I'm all in after replacing everything. Now, again, most of my issues with this guitar, by way of functionality and things that were damaged if it didn't work well, were the electronics and the tuners. And again, Firefly gave me a $50 refund. It was good enough for me. 137 guitar, put 90 bucks in it. I'm at 225-ish, somewhere in there with shipping and all the bells and the whistles. Now, so I don't know, is that normal? Now, I do know that those of you who bought this particular guitar, I know at least one of you, shout out Old as Rocks, who've had as much trouble with yours as I have. Maybe others got this guitar, but you didn't really take it apart or look at it, and you don't have to. I'm not putting the guitar down. I'll get to pros in a minute. Did I mention I was going to have some pros today? But I'm just saying, I don't really know from this guitar if Firefly Telecasters, FFTLs, have good electronics or tuners. I just cannot do any kind of legitimate, objective opinion, even though I've calmed down a lot from being really put out by some of this. So, the cons, to me there were some structural issues. Is that normative with Firefly? I don't know. I had issues caused by Relic, which I know is only, in play if you buy a Relic guitar. And, again, I didn't know, I did know. I watched a video that Old as Rocks did on the sandblasted material, and I thought, it was just his, I'll give it a shot. Well, I got the same thing. Anyway, there were some kind of neutral things here. So this is not a con on the guitar. It's not a con against Firefly, nor is it a pro necessarily, or prescriptive for any of you. It's just descriptive of what I did. So my preference, they put the relic material on the back of this neck, which gave it like weird ruffles, potato chip ridges. I just didn't dig it, man. So I did a real-time video where I sanded the neck down. If you got a half an hour to kill and want to laugh and talk about woodshop and dads and stuff like that, check that out on my channel. But so my preference is a smooth neck, so I sanded that down. I shielded, overly shielded with my copper tape like crazy. You take these parts off, there's nothing but copper tape everywhere. And so for those of you who watched those videos and had a good time chuckling at my overuse of copper tape, glad I could entertain you for a moment. But I did shield all the cavities. I shielded the back of the plate and the pick guard. I even put a little tab here on the control panel. It got tone everywhere. It's all connected. Life is good. That's just a preference thing. Okay, I wanted to get minimal sound, minimal hum and buzz. And although I do have an issue with this pickup, which is not a guitar problem, it is a pickup problem. I'm not sure if I damaged it putting it in or if it came damaged, but it does hum and buzz when I touch it, which is a bad thing for me because I play up here a lot, and so it was just bugging me. Anyway, that's not a Firefly thing. I think I did it. I can't in good conscience return it because I don't know if I broke it or it came damaged. So ordered another one, easy peasy. It'll be here in a couple of days. I did put Graphtec string trees on it because that's my preference. I don't like the metal string trees. I don't know anybody that does. I put Goto compensated brass saddles. I've put Goto compensated brass saddles on every Telecaster I've had except for one. In that case, I used Wilkinson, and they were pretty good, but this is my go-to for that. And again, that's just a preference. I did have a pure tone input jack on my desk over there, so I threw it in. The old jack was okay enough. You know, if your jacks work, you don't have to replace that stuff, you know. But I just thought, hey man, I'm replacing everything. Let's replace everything. So beyond removing the sandblasted material at the back of the neck and, you know, my experiment with shielding cavities and all those kind of things, copper tape and all that, I would have done all the preference stuff anyway. I would have got the neck where I liked it. I would have got the, you know, all the things that I just went through. No need to list them again and make the video longer. Now the pros of this guitar. I'm going to say this. I love this guitar. I really do. Now maybe it's because I've spent more guitar time with this guitar in the past few weeks than I have with any other living human being. You know, I mean, I've got some time invested, and my wife is awesome. She lets me come in here and dinker around on things and tinker with things, and she's off doing her thing, so it all works for us. But after a whole lot of work, and again, all those videos are available in the comment section. To me, the guitar plays really well. It sounds really good, and it feels really good. And I'm even starting to dig the Relic. You know, my wife picked this out, as I mentioned, but man, I'll be on a Zoom call, and my guitar will be on a stand right here, and I'll just look at that guitar, you know, in a meeting and go, I can't wait to get off this meeting. I got to pick that baby up. You know what I'm saying? If your guitar doesn't make you feel like that, at least for me, if my guitar doesn't make me go, hey baby, what's up? I ain't going to play the guitar, man. It's going to sit in the case. It's going to sit on the stand. But I got to tell you, dude, it is calling me. Now, I can't really compare it to the Squier Classic Vibe, like sound-wise and quality-wise, tone-wise, because again, none of this is stock anymore. Okay, it's all, so that wouldn't be a fair comparison to Firefly or Squier. Again, I'm not trying to put anyone down. I was just curious, you know, kind of how these things compare. I can say this: the Squier Classic Vibe weighs right at about 8'2", 8'3", of my weight measurements. You can check that online, or you can Google those things and get stats if you want. Real specifications if you want to do that. But for me, it was right at about 8'2", 8'3". This guitar right at about 6'2", 6'3". You wouldn't think 2 pounds is a lot of difference, but this guitar, man, after just kind of playing this and hanging out with it, picking this baby up, is a little bit of a boat anchor situation. And candidly, I may not be as young as I used to be, and my back appreciates not having an extra 2 pounds on it. The other thing that I can say is that the neck is thinner. I'm not going to give you specs on all that. You can Google that for sure. But the neck is thinner, and it's not that, there's not poly on everything that makes it kind of sticky. Now, I did do some work on my Squier Classic Vibe to take some of that poly off the back and got it kind of smooth as silk for my playing preference. But anyway, the other thing I like about this guitar, this is a pro for me. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. My wife really thinks I'm crazy. Because the guitar looks like this, I don't ever abuse my equipment. Okay, I don't. Truthfully, I worry about it. I'm not gonna drop it. I'm not gonna throw it. I sure ain't ever gonna set it on fire, break it over an amplifier. I'm not 12. Okay, I appreciate things that I paid money for. But I can put it on the workbench and not worry about scratching it. If it ends up sitting on a screw or something, which I try not to do, but if it does and it puts a scratch, how could you tell? When I solder the control panel, I don't even put a towel down or anything. I just solder over it. Now, again, is that careless? What? look at this thing, right? It's a wreck. So I actually dig that, because when I buy a guitar that's really pristine, that looks really cool, like this West Creek Racer, which again is another video, or the Squire Classic Vibe, man, I'm like guarded, I'm super careful, and you should be careful with tools of all kinds, but I'm like overly protective, and it makes me a little bit nervous, kind of, sort of, and so I like that I can just pick this up, and if I happen to ding it, I ding it, and who cares. So all in all, man, I've had a great journey with this guitar. Now, and I love playing this guitar. Today is Sunday. This morning before church, I sat in the bedroom and I played this guitar for about an hour. This is my study, my shop, where I work usually. And my grandson is living with us this summer. He's off from college, and so I'm usually displaced to a secret location, our bedroom, where I've made some other videos. So if it looks different, that means I'm in the bedroom. And he's in here asleep because he works the night shift. Anyway, man, I just sat this morning, and even with my wonky little pickup, I just sat in the bedroom and I just played this guitar for about an hour, and I had the best time. My wife came out of the bathroom. She said, "Oh, that's a nice rich tone." Man, get you somebody that will walk in when you're playing and say, "That's a nice rich tone." I mean, I just love her so much for that. But yeah, man, I really enjoy playing this guitar, and I've got to admit, like I said, man, the looks keep me coming back. So today, this is really perhaps one of my favorite guitars, and again, it may be that I've got hours and hours labor of love in it. So on the one hand, I accomplished my goal by buying good bones so that I could learn how to do stuff. I'd never swapped pots and switches, and certainly never did shielding and drilling, filling and re-drilling holes and stuff. So great learning experience for me. So that's a thumbs up. I'm all in at $250 compared to the Squire Classic Vibe I bought from Fender on sale for like $450 a while back, and I've put a couple $100 into that, modding it. It needed just as much setup and work to it, in my opinion. At least that was my experience. On the other hand, because nothing is stock, again, I really can't compare it to the Fender. The best I could do is talk about the weight, which I did, and the neck, which I did. So the question for me becomes, would I buy another Firefly guitar? I don't know. I mean, the jury's kind of out, because I can't tell if this is a bad batch. I can't tell. Some of you have talked about, hey man, that serial number means this factory, and that factory is known for subpar products. I don't know if any of that's true. I just know for me, it would be unfair for me to talk about Firefly's electronics and pickups and tuners based on this. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, I've had some small victories along the way. I've learned a lot, and I'm still working out some kinks. And more than anything, man, you know what? Shout out to Two Bike Mike, J-Man, Oldest Rocks, others who are talking to me on this journey. You've been so encouraging to me. I'm an old man that's been playing guitar for a long time, but never did the kind of tech work, soldering irons and drill bits. Oh my goodness, But man, I'm having the best time. The guitar plays great to me. It sounds great. And I've met some really cool folks. Man, thanks for being on this journey with me. It's been really fun. So for the Firefly enthusiasts watching, I'm just curious, does any of my journey relate at all to your journey? Do you experience kind of the structural strip screws, fill, drill, all that deal? What do your frets look like? How are your tuners, the non-relic, and how are your electronics, non-relic damaged stuff look? What needed repairs, if any, do you typically make? And again, to the FFTL Telecaster is my particular question, if you own any of those. And what are your favorite mods, man? What do you like to do to the FFTL to make it your own? Well, it's Sunday afternoon, man. I don't know what's going on in your world, but I'm having a great time talking guitars and life with the YouTube family. So, yeah, man, wherever you are in your guitar journey, safe travels to you. Rock on with yourselves, and I'll catch you down the road.